Here we are, week 3, day 4. We're talking about the importance of self-care. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the importance of sleep, some tips for better sleep. Then we're talking about hydration and how you can better hydrate yourself. We're going to talk about listening to your body. We've talked about mind-muscle connection, but this is slightly bigger. We're going to look at managing injuries and then also, really important topic, recognizing burnout. So, the importance of sleep, I've said it before, it's so important. This is when our body does the repair and the growth of muscles, and that really is a lot of the focus about why we're doing programs like this. Deep sleep is when human growth hormone is released into the body, and that is what you need. If you're not getting deep sleep, you will not be recovering and repairing those muscles properly, and certainly won't be growing new ones. Also, though, it has an impact on performance, your reaction times, your actual cognitive function, and your physical and mental abilities and performance are all affected by how well you've slept and how well your body has recovered and processed the things that you've learnt the day before. Sleep also affects hormone regulation, both looking at cortisol, which is our stress hormone, but also insulin, which manages and works for our metabolism. So 7 to 9 hours, that's your non-negotiable, and if you're really pushing it hard, going up to 10 hours. So tips for better sleep. The biggest tip you could get is having a routine, going to bed at the same time every night and waking up around the same time every morning, and having a kind of cool down routine and a wake up routine. Those two things are essential. It gets your body ready to go to sleep. Create a safe and secure sleep haven, somewhere where there's no distractions, there's no worries. You just walk into that room with the pure and only focus being sleep. That will help you to drift off. Your body is just in there to sleep, and that's all it's used to. It will go to sleep much quicker. So find somewhere quiet, keep it cool, keep it dark. Limit your screen time. This is really vital. Don't be staring at your phone. Even if you've got a blue light filter on your phone, having something like that still activates your brain and tells it that it's in the middle of the day rather than it being a nice, chilled, dark evening when you should be switching off. Also, if you've got a TV in your room, ditch it. Such bad news. You do not want to associate your bed with activities like watching TV or having a bright screen like that blaring at you just before you go to sleep. And then final tip, practice some relaxation, mindfulness, meditation, gratitude, journaling, or just read a book. All really good ways of just helping you to nod off. So the importance of hydration, it cannot be overstated. You need to keep yourself hydrated, especially when you're working out. Even slight dehydration is going to have an impact on your performance. It's going to affect your strength, your power, and or your endurance. You need water as well to keep your body regulated in terms of temperature. If you don't have enough water, you're not going to be able to sweat and you will overheat. You'll also need water to make sure that nutrients are passing around your body effectively. So if you're not hydrated, the nutrients won't be going to the muscles quickly enough, and therefore you won't be able to keep pushing at the same level that you would if you were properly hydrated. And finally, lubrication. You need water to lubricate your joints. If your joints aren't lubricated, you will not be able to withstand the same pressures as you will with lubricated joints. So a few tips here. Keep hydrated. So have a bottle of water with you. Fill it up before you leave the house. Have it topped up when you start at the gym and before workouts. Hydrate all the way through, especially if you're doing high intensity interval training or anything where you're pushing your body. And then top up at the end. Make sure you fill your bottle up and carry on drinking when you've finished exercising. Watch your wee. If you don't look at your wee, why not? You need to. It's a good measure of body health. If it's straw coloured, you're okay. If it's any darker, you need to drink more and you're dehydrated. And then also you can eat. You don't just have to drink for hydration, you can also eat. So nice watery fruits and vegetables, things like melons, oranges, citruses, cucumbers, lettuce, all of those contribute to your hydration needs. Okay, so we've talked a lot about mind-muscle connection and how you can build that. But the other thing is you need to think about listening to your body as a whole. And this is really important because your body is going to tell you things constantly. And if you're listening, you'll be able to pick up on them. So things like it might be telling you that you're aching the next day after a heavy workout. Now, there could be a good ache, like DOMS, or there could be a bad ache, like where you've actually done an injury to yourself. Or it could be that you have a recurring thing, a knee injury or shoulder, something like that, that is coming back. And it's only when you start doing things like lifting something off a shelf that you notice it. It might not be when you're working out. So you've got to listen to your body at all times. Not only does it prevent injury, it also helps us optimize performance. We've talked about that mind-muscle connection, whereas you know what muscles you're actually using for lifts. And if you're using other muscles, you are not optimizing your performance. And the other thing is mental health. You will find that you dip naturally. You have highs and lows, and that goes throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. But especially when you start pushing your body, you might notice that you get those highs from the endorphins and then you have a crash. Listen to your body. If you're finding that you're more down than you are up and something has changed, listen to your body. So things to watch for: fatigue, that's a massive one, pain, and mood changes. Okay, if you do get any injuries, it's really important that you nip them in the bud. So you stop whatever is causing or aggravating them. You then start to look at how you can treat it. So there's a little acronym, RICE: rest, ice, compression, elevation. Those are the four things that you can apply to injuries to try and reduce the severity. Rest is the biggest one. Ice generally isn't used so much nowadays. Then we look at compression, where you wear a bandage or something to push down on the swollen joint, or elevation, where you lift your leg up, for instance. If you've noticed that you've got an injury, modify the workout. So that means stopping the workout, potentially. It could mean changing how you're doing the workout. If you look through the alternative exercises, you might be able to swap it out. Or it could be that you swap it onto another exercise to do some other muscles and give that muscle or that group of muscles a bit of rest. If it's still going on, seek professional help. Don't just try and soldier on through it. You'll probably make the injury worse and then it will take longer to recover from. So get a proper diagnosis and some proper steps or treatment to make it better. And then finally, if you are rehabbing it, make sure you're following those rehab exercises frequently enough, because if you don't do them and then you're not building strength in the joints or the muscles, it will not improve and you're likely to get that injury again. So make sure that you're training for strength so that the joints or the muscles become stronger to prevent the injury happening again. Okay, the next really important thing is burnout, and burnout happens quite a lot when you're doing very intense programs, especially when you're new to it, because you want to push yourself as hard as possible and you ignore some of the warning signs and you keep going and going and going. I think it's also a rookie error that rest is often overlooked because you're so in that flow of things, you just keep pushing. So beware burnout, because when you get burnout, it's very hard to get over. So things like chronic fatigue, you might notice a dip in your performance if you're pushing at a certain weight and then suddenly it starts to drop. You need to look at why. Irritability, lack of motivation, and also frequent illnesses or injury. Those are all signs of burnout. And it is, as I said, very common. So to make sure to do what you can to stop it happening, make sure you've got a balanced training program so that you're either alternating muscle groups or you've got rest in between your workouts. Listen to your body, rest when you need. If you need to skip a workout, great. If you need to reduce the intensity, great, do it. Make sure you're eating properly, as we've covered before, and you're having adequate water, and then plenty of rest and sleep. Okay, pushing your body this hard means that you have to look after it. You cannot do both. You will burn out. So make sure that you're looking after your body as hard as you're pushing it, please. The more able your body is to cope with the demands that you're putting on it, the better the results are that you'll see, and the faster that they will come. However, There is no race. You are only against yourself in this, and there is no countdown. You just need to do it at a steady pace, because a steady pace with no injuries will get better results than rushing and then injuring yourself or burning out and not being able to continue for a while. So keep it steady, keep it simple. You'll do great. See you tomorrow.